August is Gastroparesis Awareness Month, which is an extremely rare and incurable disease that I am fighting. That's why I want to share a little bit of information, because you might have symptoms and you might not know that you even have it. It is a condition where the stomach empties too slowly, and the delayed emptying of the stomach is confirmed by a test. However, it's very difficult to get to the test because, number one, most of the gastroenterologist doctors don't suspect this disease when you're presenting symptoms to them, and number two, it's very expensive to get the testing done. So if you have no health insurance, it might be very expensive to get tested. I actually have health insurance, but my doctor belongs to the facility that's out of my network. That's why I had to pay $3,000 extra just for the test. Overall, the test was $18,000. Amazing, right? People who are getting gastroparesis are people who have diabetes. I don't have it. People who had surgery that involved working on their esophagus, stomach, or intestines, which might damage your vagus nerve. But also some people who have certain cancer treatments in the past, like radiation therapy, for example. I had none of those. The only thing that I had was a nasty case of COVID. It was really bad. I barely made it. 3 days after I recovered from my COVID, I got gastroparesis. How did it happen? How did I know I had it? One day I just woke up, I wanted to eat breakfast, and I couldn't swallow anything. And if I tried to swallow it by force, it would come up. It was the worst experience ever. So I was so confused. At the beginning, I was like, okay, this is temporary. Something happened. I don't know what it is. But then I started going to doctors. Finally, I got accepted and I got an appointment to see one of the best GI doctors in New Jersey. We did a few tests. We did colonoscopy, endoscopy, and then he said, everything looks clean. I think you have gastroparesis. So he gave me a referral to do the gastric emptying test. And unfortunately, that test confirmed that I had gastroparesis. How was it done? You go to the hospital, they give you radioactive food and drink with some radioactive substance. I had an egg sandwich with some radioactive juice, and then they wait for you to digest it over the next 6 to 8 hours. And every half an hour, they take x-ray, but moving pictures, like little videos, 1 minute video front, 1 minute video back. They want to see how fast the food is actually moving through your digestive system. And depending on how fast your stomach digests the food and it gets to your intestines, they say if your gastroparesis is severe or mild. The worst thing with gastroparesis is that it can be dormant, it can be in a remission. Right now my gastroparesis is in remission. So when you're doing this test and you don't have any symptoms, they might tell you that, okay, you don't have gastroparesis. So it's best to do this test when you have severe symptoms. That's what happened to me. After that, my doctor told me that they have to put me on special type of medication. I'm not going to mention what type of medication, but he told me I can be on this medication only for 3 months with the hopes that it's going to help. So I asked him, why are you going to put me on this medication for only 3 months? And then he said, because it's so damaging to other organs. It can cause heart attack, ulcers, a stroke. So I said, okay, listen, I'm going to read about it and I'm going to get back to you on that. So I read terrible reviews about this medication. So I went back to him and I'm like, okay, so what happens if this medication doesn't work for me and it doesn't stop my gastroparesis? He says, then we're going to figure something else out. I'm like, oh, no. I want you to figure something else now, because I'm not going to ruin my body just to do a prescribed medication, which we don't know if it's going to bring any effects, right? He was very hostile towards me. And he said, if you don't take this medication, you're going to end up on a tube through the nose or special device that you put on your stomach and you get fed through that device. So basically he threatened me, and I still denied taking this medication, and I took matters in my own hands and started searching. And TikTok community was such a great help for me. At the beginning, when I was actually diagnosed 2 years ago, there was not much information I could find here. There is much more information on TikTok about gastroparesis right now. But at that time, I started just researching, Googling, and using TikTok and common sense. So I ordered some natural herbal medication from Switzerland, from Germany, even from Poland. I went to Poland to see a very good GI doctor there. She prescribed some over-the-counter herbal medications. So I started taking those, and my gastroparesis went into remission after a few weeks. Then something happened in my life. My mom got terribly sick. She ended up being in a hospital in a very, very tough condition. So stress caused the onset of the disease again, and my stomach stopped working. When I'm telling you the stomach stops working, you cannot physically eat anything. So when that happens, you have to switch immediately to a liquid diet. So as you can imagine, you lose a lot of weight while having gastroparesis, which is not good. But the main thing that affects your body with gastroparesis is the fact that your body doesn't absorb nutrients. Every 3 months, more or less, I get anemia because my body doesn't absorb iron at all. And since my stomach is already irritated, I cannot take iron as oral pills. I have to get my IVs. So I go to the doctor. Thankfully, the insurance pays for it. And then I have to get all the other vitamins, vitamin C, D, B, A, through my veins, through IVs as well, because otherwise I cannot function. You feel dizzy, have fatigue all the time. You would sleep 20 hours per day because you have no energy. Even if the disease is in remission and you can somewhat eat, of course you're on a very restricted diet anyway, then your body still doesn't absorb nutrients the way it should. So we are always depleted. At least I am, and my blood work results prove that. So living with gastroparesis is a terrible experience. I don't wish upon anyone. The worst thing is that there is no cure for it. Only in God's hands how long you're gonna last with it. There are people who can live with it just like up to 5 years. Some others live with it for 30 years. I'm just hoping that medicine will find a cure for it soon.